Hi and welcome to PictureMe. In this video I'll be demonstrating what PictureMe can do and hopefully get you familiar with all the features. So first, as a proof of concept, I will show you that it does work. So let me go to my desktop and open up PictureMe. And this video is applicable for PictureMe and PictureMe Pro. I'll mention the differences when I get to them. Basically they work the same way, but resolution is limited in the standard version and not in the Pro version. So let me make the window a little bit bigger, and just as a proof of concept, I have the camera set up there. It's a Canon camera hooked up to my Mac with a USB cable. It's on a tripod aimed at me, and as you can see in settings, it is recognized by the software. Now, it works with virtually all cameras. There are only a few brands that use their own proprietary way of connecting to a computer, and those won't work. But all Nikon, Sony, and basically all SLRs and a lot of mirrorless cameras will work. Basically, if your camera doesn't mount as a disc when you connect it to your computer, it will very likely work. So let's take a picture. The first time I take a picture, it gives me a message with an OK button. So that's only to initialize the camera once. So I'll look at the camera, I'll take a picture, and that picture is then tethered, so transferred from the camera to my Mac, so it appears there. Now obviously to cut out the framing, you normally do different on a backdrop, because now I only have shoulders and up. Normally you want more of the people standing in front of the green or the blue screen. By the way, I'm in front of a blue screen. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm just superimposed on my desktop. So this shows that the picture is taken. I can go to Scene. It uses the same picture. I can select a backdrop, any one of the backdrops that are included. And once I'm happy with the result, I can simply save it. Let's choose one where it looks okay. This one looks okay. Let's save the picture, and if I want to see that picture, I can go into either click that one, show results folder. It will open up the results as you saved, or you can go to settings and click on the little view at results. So there's a view and an edit. This is the view. If you view there and go to the last one, this is the picture that we just took. So that's the first proof of concept that we can do: tether a camera, green screen it, chroma key it, and make it appear on top of a backdrop that we selected with an overlay superimposed. Now let's go over all the settings. But before I do, if something does not work, we would really appreciate it if you would not just post a review saying it doesn't work, but actually contact us, because we'd like to know why it doesn't work, and we are very likely are able to help you fix the problem, unless it's your camera not being capable of doing it, which is something we cannot prevent. But as said, most cameras work. The software is used by hundreds of people, so it does work. So if something doesn't work on your system, we are likely able to help you. So that said, let me go through all the different features. So besides taking a picture, there's an example button. So if you're not getting results with your own pictures and you're doubting if the software works at all, use the example one. This is just an example picture of a girl standing in front of a green curtain, not exactly evenly lit, and with the masking slider you can decide how much of the backdrop should be cut out. So you can see it does work. The hue tolerance can be used for different colors. So let me show you one that we can use the hue tolerance. So if I load a picture and go to the one, let me go to icon view, this one. This particular girl has a shirt with colors that aren't too far away from the backdrop, which means there are holes in her where the color is almost the same. I can make that show more clearly if I click on the backdrop colors anywhere on the preview, and then I get a color requester and I can select white, for instance, and OK that. And now, well, white wouldn't be a very smart color choice either, but well, you get the idea. You see more clearly where the holes are. So for me to reduce the holes is to add more tolerance to the color. If I do that, then most of it reappears, and I can go back a little bit to get her hat back, and now I OK it, and she's pretty much OK. One thing you don't notice here, it's smoothed. That was the option in Picture Smooth. If I switch that off and OK it, then it's not smooth and it has the sharp colors. For some hair, it's sometimes nicer to smooth it, because hair is very difficult to chroma key because it's transparent. So part of the color of the backdrop will show through some hair strands, which makes it very difficult to chroma key correctly. Now, if you have something in the picture that doesn't chroma key automatically, then we can do that manually. So we can use the brush and the eraser to add to the image. So let me first show you how that works with the eraser. If I erase, it will become a hole. So wherever I make that and I OK it, there will be a hole wherever I brushed. So I obviously don't want that there. So in this case, I will take the brush and I will brush it back in. And you have control over the size of the brush. Let me make the color not white to show you the size of the brush, because it's not the easiest to see if I do it in that color. Let's make it gray again. So if I go here, I can change the size of the brush to one that works for me for editing. Now, you only do this if you have to do some manual editing. Preserve eyes. As you can see, it recognizes a face, and if I do preserve eyes, it ensures that people with a color eye that is similar to the backdrop don't get little holes where their eyes are, because that looks really weird. So that's just an extra feature. It also uses the face recognition to do group positioning. So if you load a picture with multiple people, so let's load one up with a bunch of people, then it obviously recognizes more of those faces, and it tries to preserve eyes. Doesn't always work perfectly, but it works if the person isn't positioned too oddly. So it can see all of those faces, and it can then center on the one that you want. So if I, going from left to right, want the third one to be the center, and I OK that, then she is positioned here. If I want him to be positioned here, I choose the first one. So picture face selection 1 and OK, and then he's placed there. So obviously you don't want him to be the center of attention. You want the center of the group to be the center. So in this case you choose number 3, because there's 3 people on it and it recognizes them from left to right. So that way you control where the people will show up. Where exactly they do show up is predefined by the backdrop. If you don't predefine it, they'll be centered. So they'll be in the center of your picture. But you can have them move over to a certain position, as you can see when I change to different ones, because the people just move around as I choose a different scene. And that's predefined, and I'll show you later on how to define that. Okay, so we used that one. We used the preserve eyes and the smooth, and use tolerance. I think we've used all of the features. Let me just show you it also works on some different colors than green, and also on not so obvious backdrops. So this is just a Shutterstock image. It's a nice image, but it's not exactly chroma keyed or made for chroma keying, because it's got blue and white in here. So what we can do is use the sliders to even make this one work. So we go until we lose basically all of the backdrop, and then the hue tolerance allows us to get most of the C gone as well. And then if we wanted to, we could erase the bottom part. So we could make it a little bit bigger and erase this part. We don't have to do that, but in this case I just wanted to show you that we can erase that. Like that, then we could OK that, and as you can see we now have her, and we can position her and scale her wherever we want. So it works on virtually any color, but it has to be a color. So if you take a picture against a bunch of colors, so against blue grass with trees and blue sky on it, or green grass and trees and blue skies on it, it won't work because it has to have one particular color backdrop. The color itself is not that critical, but it has to be one color. White doesn't work, gray doesn't work, you need to have a color. So it can't even use red. Let me show you one where there's a red backdrop. So this one shows it can even work on red. It's not perfect, but it does work. So I can define a little bit more how much of the shirt will be staying, and I can probably increase the one at the top. No, I need to increase it like that. And now in this one you see that her lips would be having a hole in them. So her lips, because they're red and the backdrop's red, you need to brush them in. Also her necklace is red, and that was also now gone. So now we can use the brush again to improve on that. So we can just brush in her mouth and brush in her necklace. And it's here as well, and it's here. And then OK it. And that works too. Now this is not a perfect picture, it's a low resolution image, but I just wanted to show you that it works with virtually any color. So what else can we do? In the scene setting, we can also adjust the backdrop. We can blur it. In normal photography, if you focus on the girl, your backdrop would not be as sharp as the girl. Sharpness cannot be perfect on all foreground and background. So the focus would be on the girl, and this can be made slightly more blurry, more representing what would happen with a normal picture. If you don't show the overlay is not shown. So you can have an overlay for each of the backdrops and decide if you want to show it, yes or no. Scaling I've already shown you. We can change the color. In the standard version, only you can change the color of the picture that you take, not the backdrop. So I can change the saturation, for instance, of the girl, or go black and white and make it a more contrasty black and white. Maybe even add some brightness to it. Go and knock yourself out in what you want to do with effects. And in the Pro version, you can do the same with backdrop. That's only available in the Pro version. So that's one of the two differences in the Pro version and the Lite version. Pro version uses unlimited resolutions and allows you to modify the backdrop color, brightness, and saturation on the fly. Other things possible here is show result folder. If I do save a picture and have that on, it automatically opens the folder. If I scroll down, the last picture I took is the one that is shown here. So it opens the folder every time I do that. If you don't need that, you can leave that off. You can also store them and just work with them later. You can also email them. That's because I did an in-app purchase. Both the Lite and the Pro version have in-app purchases for an extra window displaying the results on a second window, which you can use on a different monitor facing the audience that's in front of the green screen. That way they don't have to come over to your system to look at what you're doing, and you can have the results shown to them. So they can say, no, take a picture again, I'm not looking at the right direction, or I got my eyes closed, or whatever. And they can see what's going on without coming to your system. So that's the monitor, and you can buy that in the in-app purchases. So that's the monitor window. The other is the print version, print option. In that case, you can print directly from the scene. So the print button would then be enabled, and if you hit print, it automatically gets spooled to your printer at the size that you defined in settings, and it's centered on page, which is also nice, because that's not so easy to do if you have to do it with your driver. So if you choose a 2x3 page and choose your printer, and then in Scene click Print, that's how you can make prints very quickly. Of course, you can also just open the picture and do file print from there, but then you have to do it every time, and centering is not so easy. Same thing with email. That's the in-app purchase that I did for this particular setup. So in this case, I can email this picture. If I click on email, I can enter an email address. I'll use the support address, support at AppForce.One. Please use this address if you have any questions or problems, or if there's anything you'd like to have added. Use this address, or go to AppForce.One website and use the form we have there. And if I hit OK, it emails that picture and gives you confirmation that the email was sent. If you don't get an email OK, you either not have a connection, or you have your email client set up wrong, because in settings you can choose to use our own built-in client, or you can add the email address that you like with username and credentials to log into your email server, so it's sent from your email account, not ours. That's your choice. The monitor window it's not enabled now, but if it's enabled, it just gives you a second monitor with the scene, and you can full screen that on a second display that you hook up to your computer, turn it around, and have the audience behind or in front of the green screen look at that one. So in settings, what else do we have? You can restore your purchases, so if you install it on a different computer and restore your purchases, all the things that you've bought before will be restored. They are not transferable from Lite to Pro, so if you think you want to go to Pro, don't buy all the in-app purchases in the Lite version, because you'll have to buy them again in the Pro version. Then the storage, the hot folder, any image that comes into the hot folder is automatically processed. So if you have a camera with a Wi-Fi card, you can have the file transferred wirelessly to that hot folder and then be handled by PictureMe automatically. You can view it and you can edit it. The backdrops you can view and edit, and the results you can view and edit. So the view is the icon, the pen in the circle is the edit. Now let me view the backdrop folder to explain what's possible with backdrops, because we can add our own, and it's instantly updated when we change something. So notice there is an Amsterdam in here, so let me just show you that. I'll make this a little bit smaller and move it over here. So there is an Amsterdam. If I go to the scene and choose Amsterdam, you can see that exists, and it has the image on it. Let me take her color back. So that works with that backdrop. Now that Amsterdam is this picture. It's a JPEG, and it's got a little overlay on it, which is exactly the same file, but then a PNG. If I take away or add any files, PictureMe will now automatically see that and update your menu accordingly. So if I take this one out, you will see the menu's now changed. It's no longer at Amsterdam, and if I choose Amsterdam again, the little thing that I took out is now gone. If I put it back in, again the menu will see that, or PictureMe will see that, and now if I select Amsterdam, it's back again. So if you add your own and suddenly the software doesn't work, remove the image you added, because this is how you can add your own backdrops to PictureMe. If it doesn't work anymore after adding one, you may have not used the right file type or extension. So the backdrop is always a JPEG with .jpeg as an extension. An overlay is always a PNG with transparency. If you don't know how to make PNGs, you can do that in Photoshop, but you do need to have a photo editing software that allows transparent images to be saved. So this basically has this frame and then transparency. So this Banff one has, if I open it, just the Banff and the rest is transparent. So the numbers here, what do those mean? If you want to have the people positioned at a different place, you can change that. What I've done here is 75-40-10. So the face is positioned roughly by default at 75% of the width, 40% from the top, at 10% of the height. It's not exact, but it's roughly accurate. So if I want her to be on the entire left side by default, I can change this to 15, edit that. It will change the menu again because I added the name, and if I now go to Amsterdam, she's positioned on the left. So you can see it's automatically showing me how to position the images here. Now I'm losing my overlay. Why is that? Because the overlay name of the PNG has to match the exact name of the backdrop. So because I changed that to 1540, the overlay is now gone. If I go here and go edit and change this one to match the name of the backdrop, and you see it's changed again. If I change Amsterdam again, it's back. So the way it's done, it's name of your file, double underscore, then the X position in percentage, the Y position from the top, and an underscore, and then the size in 2 digits as a number, and then the .jpeg for the backdrop, and the .png for the overlay. That's how you add or edit files and default positions. We thought that'd be a nice thing to add because in some pictures you don't want them to show at the very center and have to move them around every time. Because you can, of course, you can move her around and scale her up or down. That's not a problem. But it's nicer if the picture automatically starts at the right place to begin with. It makes it just easier for you to work. So I think we've covered all. Yeah, add examples. If you happen to delete all the predefined ones, so I can show you by doing this. If I choose all of them and then move them all away to the desktop, then obviously if I go to scene, I can't choose anything because there's nothing there. If I then want to repopulate them because I deleted them, now I could just drop them back in, but I can also say add examples, and that puts them back in again. And now if I go to scene, I can select them again. So that's just a way that if you define a new folder for backdrops and you lost the content of the predefined backdrops and overlays, that's a quick way to recover those. Okay, so that's something we added in the last version, the latest version of PictureMe, just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, I think we've covered all the settings. Yeah, if your camera is on, because mine went off because it's on a timer, so let me switch it back on. There it is. So if you have your camera here with pictures on it, you can delete those and view those if they're still on your camera. So if I take a picture using this button and then click on the camera again, you can see the pictures that I just took, and I can select them and delete them or download them into the app. So that's just a different way of interfacing with your camera, just to make sure that the setup is right without actually going to scene and have the picture shown there. Okay, I think we've covered all. Let me repeat that if you do have any issues, if you have any comments or feature requests or something doesn't work, please do not post a bad review and just leave it at that, because that will not help you, won't help us, won't help anyone. If you do have an issue, because it can always happen, you can always do something wrong, or your computer might have a problem that we did not think of, or your camera might not be working, then let us know and we'll try to figure it out. We'll go through some steps. We'll also post some steps on the website to make sure that you've gone through those when you have a problem on the frequently asked questions. But if you don't find anything there, then contact us and we will get back to you normally within the day. And we normally are able to either help you fix the problem or say it cannot work because of your camera. because we'll be able to look it up. So I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you find it fun to work with. If you have anything you would like to have added to it or improved, or have any suggestions to make it better, we'd love to hear from you. Use AppForce.One's website, or support at AppForce.One, or the form that is allowing you to fill in details about what you're doing and what you'd like to have added on AppForce.One's website. So thanks again for watching, and enjoy using PictureMe. Bye-bye.